Hey everyone, this is Marc with MainWP, and doing something a little different during this Black Friday, which is I'm attempting to interview several different extension partners with MainWP, and today I've got Hans Skillrud from Termageddon. Hans, why don't you go ahead and tell me what Termageddon is? It sounds ominous. I think it's a very cool name. But then maybe we can talk a little bit about your Black Friday sales and the importance of what you do, and how all of this works with main WP and all of that.
Thank you, Mark. I'd be more than happy to. I almost called you Joe because of the
That's
Joe
okay.
Rogan headphones, but
You had to say something, huh?
we just had a full blown conversation about that. But anyways, my name is Hans. I'm one of the co-founders of Termageddon. Termageddon is an auto updating website policy solution. So don't hang up too soon. Don't end this interview too quickly. It's a pretty nifty tool. I know that we're in a little bit more of a boring space, or what some would consider boring. Our tool generates privacy policies, terms and condition statements, cookie policies, cookie consents, disclaimers, all the things we website owners and web designers love talking about and dealing with on a day-to-day basis, I'm sure. But that's actually why we called it Termageddon, and kind of speaks to just kind of our approach, which is that, you know, whether we like it or not, this web industry is getting regulated. If you're collecting things like names and emails and phone numbers through contact forms, or maybe you're collecting things like IP address and sharing that data with analytics tools, we need to understand that data is regulated under more and more privacy laws, and people who own websites, they may be responsible for complying with not just today's privacy laws, but keep up to date with the new changes in privacy laws. At the time of this recording, we have 8 new laws going into effect next year in 2025, many of which go into effect January 1st. And if you haven't thought like, oh, I need to update my privacy policy by January 1st, like, therein lies the value of a tool like Termageddon. So, Termageddon, we walk you through a series of questions to help figure out what laws apply to you, and then base our questionnaire on those laws and ask the questions necessary to make the respective disclosures under those laws. At the end of the setup process, you get some embed codes, and that's what you copy and paste into the body of the policy pages. And that speaks to our extension relationship with MainWP, which we'll talk about shortly here. But what's cool is when you embed our codes, we control the copy that is on your policy pages, so that when these new 8 laws go into effect, we just simply notify you by email, let you know if you have any new questions to answer, and then we just push the newly required disclosures automatically to your website policies. Whether you're a web designer, we have agency partner programs where we give you free licenses to test out our product, use on your own website, and then you can resell or refer our solution to your clients, helping them get protected as well while you make a new recurring revenue stream. We also work with direct website owners. So if you're watching this and you use MainWP for a bunch of websites you own and manage yourself, we have some excellent solutions for you as well. Our tool is $119 per year per website. And if you're an agency, you can buy it wholesale one at a time, or you can buy in bulk, which we'll talk about again in our Black Friday special in this interview. This is a very long winded way of answering. We're an auto updating website policy solution with a keen focus on agency partnerships.
That sounds a lot more exciting than the actual work of creating terms and conditions. Well, I can't tell you how much I hated doing that. I remember years ago when it started becoming a thing with these enforcements that were going into place, and we were writing our own terms and conditions, and we spent days of research and hours, and I can't imagine, like, definitely a lot more than $119 worth of our time put into it. And then, of course, something would change. But how does this address issues like various countries? Most of us, for instance, in the WordPress space, most of us have customers from all over the world. And when you're developing these terms and conditions, the EU has some stricter enforcements, for instance, than the United States might. We seem to be a little bit behind on some of those privacy issues, and how do you all keep on top of all that, and then keep your software managed to where it handles all of that, and
Yeah.
that we can be assured that it's going to be what we need it to be?
Yeah, absolutely. All great questions. So, I think it starts with understanding the baseline of privacy laws and really what they're intending to do. Privacy laws intend to protect and regulate people's data. So, we all know about the EU's GDPR, which protects the data of EU residents. The UK has the UK Data Protection Act, which is more or less a mirror copy of GDPR. We have actually dozens of laws in other states, countries, and territories as well. Canada has a federal law, and then there's a handful of privacy laws here in the US, many of which only apply to bigger businesses, but many of them apply as soon as you collect a single piece of personal information from one visitor from that area. And therein lies kind of the complexity of a proper privacy policy. Since privacy laws protect people, they don't care where our business is located. So I'm located in Chicago, but I get traffic from all over the world. So I have other people's data I'm collecting from other areas, and I need to be subject to those laws. So the way Termageddon works is the very first step is let's figure out what laws apply. Some laws apply the moment you collect as little as an IP address behind the scenes and share that data with Google Analytics, for example. Other laws apply if only you process the data of 25,000 more residents of a particular state. So the first step is find out the laws that apply to you, because that dictates all the disclosures you need to make. And that's a key component of what Termageddon's tool does. We find the laws that apply, we ask the questions necessary to make the respective disclosures required under those specific applicable laws. As for keeping it up to date, I am proud to let you know I am not the one who does that at Termageddon. I'm sure everyone's looking at this at me and be like, "Oh my gosh, please tell me." I assure you, I'm not the one.
I wasn't going to say anything.
But you were waiting for me to drop the,
Yeah.
the hammer.
Yeah.
My wife is the president of Termageddon. She's a licensed attorney. She's also the chair of the American Bar Association's e-privacy committee. And 2 months prior to this call recording, she was just asked by the American Bar to be their representative to the United Nations, where she's going to set
Wow.
right privacy laws for countries. Our company is attorney founded. I'm a little bit biased in my opinion, but I think we're working with one of the best privacy attorneys on the planet at at the time of this recording. But again, she's my wife, so I kind of have to say that. But
Well,
also, I feel
it
like I can
sounds
back
like the
it up a little
United
bit.
Nations also agrees with you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I do have that going.
yeah.
But yeah, so she's she's obviously in charge of overseeing legal, but simply put, we license a bunch of legal software that monitors bills and cases and laws and changes to laws. And we're also a part of multiple multi-hundred person law firm communities that are focused on privacy. So the American Bar's e-privacy committee, the International Association of Privacy Professionals, that's IAPP.org, and various other communities. Those are the main ones, though. So our second layer is just massive communities that we're a part of, where all day, every day, we're talking about changes in privacy laws. And then last but not least, we have a law firm partner program. So we have a handful of law firms that use our product and give us feedback whenever they have feedback to give, which gets more rare these days. We've built a nice product and just listened to our customers' feedback and made improvements. So does
No,
that answer
that
your
that
question?
says something. If you're getting less feedback in this particular case, that like you said, that's actually a good thing, right? Because it doesn't mean the other law firms are getting less interested. It means that you're covering more and more bases of what's of value and what is actually accurate and needed. Honestly, I'm trying to wrap my mind around like having like, does your wife sleep? I
She
mean,
is yeah, she is the most productive person I have ever met in my working career and in life. And I'll put it in this way. So my wife is from Lithuania.
mhm.
She moved to America at 13, learned English, and was a licensed attorney by 21. Um, I,
Wow,
I
wow.
can't, just mind boggling.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
at 13,
yeah.
I was playing Grand Theft Auto for like 12 hours a day. Like, that was
Sure, sure.
that's what I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
doing. That was like a
yeah,
productive
yeah,
day for me.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no, she's definitely a go-getter. She's highly involved. Like what she's done for Termageddon is just part of her job because she's so involved with the American Bar in particular lately. But she was the president of the Chicago chapter president of the International Association of Privacy Professionals for the 2-year term that they allow for a president to be elected for.
Mhm.
This is her life's work. And she, we're all
That's
very proud of
amazing.
it. So
Yeah,
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 she's accomplished a lot. And for anyone who's listening to this who hasn't been through our tool, you'll get through our questionnaire and be like, okay, yeah, this thing can get rather comprehensive
yeah.
pretty quickly.
I remember the first time I heard about it was at a meetup, and the people at the meetup could not stop talking about how great Termageddon was.
That's
And
awesome.
I hadn't met you folks. I was not associated with MainWP, and other than I've known Dennis for over a decade, but I can tell you that anybody who's used you cannot stop talking about how valuable of a tool it is. And I got to tell you, I mean, where can you get an attorney anything for $100? That's not even an hour's worth of time for a mediocre attorney. So,
No,
um,
for sure. For
So
sure.
that is really, really awesome. The only other thought I have is, with all the credentials that your wife has and the legal backing that your company has, you must like just be on cloud nine for like a week anytime you win an argument with her. I would think so.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, we are opposite people, that's for sure. The first couple weeks of us working together, it got dicey. It definitely got
Mhm.
dicey, but
Yeah, yeah,
we have our lanes. We have our clear lanes. I'm sales
yeah.
and marketing. I prefer being on a call with you, Mark, and talking
Mhm.
about what we offer and stuff. I'm more of a
Sure.
good megaphone. She's actually like the work product,
Right.
getting stuff
Yeah,
actually done.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
here to like share it with everyone, like, hey, check it out. Um, but
And
no,
that's
no,
awesome.
excellent. And I do want to note, there is a con to Termageddon, and that's that we're not a legal service provider. I always try to be clear about that. Like,
Mhm.
if you can hire an attorney and afford to like pay them to draft your policies, monitor privacy laws, and keep them up to date over time, of course go with that route because they can
Mhm.
provide you legal advice. They can help you assess risk and stuff like that. So Termageddon, we're a tool. So you generate your policies with our
Mm.
tool and
Mhm.
keep it auto updating. And that's why we're able to offer much lower prices because we're a tool. We're not the actual legal
And
service provider. So
yeah, that's a great, I guess, sort of disclaimer to make because one of my questions is going to be, how do you guarantee all these people that their terms and conditions are, and their privacy policies and their cookie policies are 100% in compliance with the requirements? So it sounds to me like a good workflow, like you said, if you can afford an attorney, is maybe have Termageddon generate all these things, and then if you can afford an attorney, you'll save a ton of attorney legal fees, right? By taking your already written terms and conditions and privacy policies and cookie policies to an attorney that might specialize in that. And rather than you having to pay them, for 10 or 15 hours worth of work, you can pay them for 2 hours to just go through your policy and say, yay or nay, or, here are a couple of adjustments that need to be made. Does that sound about right?
oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, we do have customers that just use us and they just move on, and I get
Mm,
that. Like
mm,
especially like startups or really small businesses getting going. They can't really afford an attorney even for 2 hours of work.
mhm.
But for the ones that can, of course, I love that you said that, Mark, because why not take advantage of both? Use us to get everything
Yeah.
generated,
Yeah.
us to keep up to date with the changes, but then have an attorney be there just to kind of review it, make sure everything looks good. Each Termageddon license can be shared. So if you're reselling a Termageddon license, I highly recommend not white labeling us. Instead, embrace that you're using a third party for privacy law monitoring and
Sure,
share
sure.
access with your client. They could even share it with their attorney where we get full customization abilities and all that jazz. Now, granted, the vast majority of attorneys, assuming the questionnaire got answered correctly, which I would say is the biggest if. That's like if you can do that correctly and take the time and like really think through, make sure your answers are good. I'd like to think
Mhm.
you are going to have perfectly compliant policies, but an attorney does have that full customization ability, even though at least as of late, our privacy policy typically doesn't get customized anymore because it tends to hit the nail on the head. Unless you have an attorney who hates like certain prepositions and they want to like change
Oh,
one vowel,
sure.
or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't save you there, for those
Yeah,
billable
yeah.
hours, but
Yeah, yeah. Before we move on to a couple of other things, I just wanted to say that one of the things that we really like at MainWP working with the folks at Termageddon is Donata, your wife, writes an article for us about every month, which goes into a certain aspect of privacy policies, or the one that we just released was on how to give your company a competitive edge by building trust with your companies and how
love it.
valuable trust is. And so it's really neat to have that monthly article that she writes for us to share with our customers, so that they can be sure that they're running their agency in the best possible way when it comes to any of those gotchas that we all like to avoid. We just want to run our companies. So
100%.
yeah.
And because I'm being recorded, I want to just share this as a PSA because not enough business owners know this. But right now, there is a growing number of lawsuits occurring because of a non-compliance with a privacy law called SIPA, the California Invasion of Privacy Act, where some opportunistic attorneys are sending demand letters to website owners all over America. I have personally spoken to over a dozen in the last 3 months, last 4 months. They're not Termageddon clients. They're calling me though because the agency that uses us, they didn't sign up with Termageddon, and they're saying they're getting sued or they got a demand letter for 60 grand for
Oh,
not
wow.
getting consent from one of their website visitors. And I just share this to say that if you're building websites, especially for third party, if you're building websites as a service and you're like, what, you're a web designer or a web agency owner, you should get it documented that you discussed with your client that they're the ones responsible for their website policies. Like, you don't have to recommend term again. This is just a PSA. Like, I
Hmm.
cannot stress enough how important it is to have website owners, the business owner, understand it is their responsibility to comply with laws, not the web designer. Like, get that in writing. We have free assets on Termageddon in our agency partner portal, or just email me. I'll send them to you. You don't have to join
Yeah.
Termageddon. Like, I cannot stress enough how important it is for us in the web industry to understand our industry is getting regulated. We should no longer keep our head in the sands. We need to embrace this stuff. We need
Yeah.
to explain to our clients, hey, names and emails are regulated data, IP address, regulated data. It's your responsibility, client, to handle that, not mine. And that's, I cannot stress that enough, that that's a really important thing that we embrace as well in this industry.
And it's not going to get easier or better from that standpoint. It's going to be more stringent, I imagine,
100%.
as more and more consumer groups and legislators and everybody get involved with all of this. So, it's kind of funny because it seems like the most boring things are the most important things. It seems like when running a business. So I hope you don't mind me calling it boring, but
Oh no, it is. It 100% is. I get it. I think,
yeah,
and I also think, like, I think 5 years from now, we're probably gonna look back at these times and be like, remember when we used to just take people's data and do whatever we wanted with it? Like,
yeah,
there
yeah,
will come a time where we'll look back at this as the Wild West of just data harvesting, trying to get as much data about
yeah,
users, where now we want to respect our website visitors' privacy. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe it won't get that far, but the writing is on the wall. More laws are
yeah,
passing, not less. More laws are being updated, not less. Like,
yeah.
it's time to embrace regulations, and I think you can turn it into a revenue opportunity as well. So,
Sure, absolutely, and obviously, you folks certainly have because it provides such a tremendous value to all these small businesses and agencies out there that are handling multiple websites. This has been fascinating for me. I've just learned a lot already, and I mean, I remember the real Wild West of the early, the late '90s and early 2000s of the internet, where literally there was no privacy whatsoever, none. Um, so Termageddon, you folks have created an extension that works with MainWP. By the way, we've created a video that shows how to use the Termageddon extension with MainWP. But maybe you can give us a brief overview of how that works.
yeah, absolutely. So, I used main WP back when I was running my agency. So I was, to say the least, delighted when you all reached out to me asking to do an integration, or maybe I reached out to you. Whatever the case, I was pumped that we got to work together. But the main WP extension does two things. Number one, it allows for easy embedding of the policies. So when you generate your policies with Term Again, you get an embed code, and that's what you copy and paste in this site. You can actually use our extension to copy and paste the codes in there, and then that'll auto create the pages and embed the codes just to make it one less step from having to go into the client's website to create those policies. So, great feature. The feature I like the most, though, is the fact that your dashboard will show you when there's updates available. So every now and then, some government somewhere will make a last minute change to their privacy law that's going to go in effect 7 days, aka California 2 years ago. They launched SIPA,
Mm.
or CPRA, excuse me. They launched CCPA, which later changed to CPRA. But on Christmas Day, we went from all prepared for the new California updates to them making a decision on Christmas Day, and so we had to work 7 straight days getting it updated for that change. So every now and then, why I say that is because every now and then there will be some kind of change where we have some sort of a new additional question, and that's what I like about the extension, is that from your main WP dashboard you can see little notices when we have suggested new content to review or any new yes or no questions we need an answer to. And even if you're using it for your clients, we'll be notifying them as well. But that visual maybe give you that extra ability to just send out a quick ping to your client, be like, hey, I noticed you haven't answered the new question. Be sure to do that sooner than later. Just adding a little bit more value that you're overseeing and helping them out. So,
That's very cool. And by the way, the Termageddon extension is free,
yes.
and you can use it with the free version of MainWP. So you can have all that you need right there without having to pay a cent. to get going and make sure that your site is compliant. So that's well, and to stay on top of your updates and changes on all of your sites. So that's very cool. So let's it's that time of the year again. It is the holiday season, Black Friday, all of the fun. What you got going for Black Friday this year?
So we have 3 deals. So deal number 1, for new agency partners, like people who've never tried out Termageddon, instead of 1 free license, you get 2 free licenses if you apply through the Black Friday link. Now, with that being said, agencies that use MainWP, you already get 2 free licenses. So you know what? I'll take it one step further. If you're watching this and you're thinking about becoming an agency partner, email me, hans@termageddon.com, and I'll add a third free license. That way we can track
That's awesome.
us here.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but for everyone else, it'll be 2 free licenses. Typically, we only give 1 free away per agency partner, and then give them the ability to resell and refer additional licenses. But it's 2 free. And then we also have 2 deals for our agency partners. One is this thing we invented called a DIY pre-written email sequence. So if you want to send your own Black Friday special, we put together pre-written material that you can just copy and paste and send to your clients, saying, "Hey, for this Black Friday, we're promoting compliance and policies, and we are offering Termageddon at a discounted rate." Clients have the option you can either resell it to them at the full price and buy from us at wholesale, or you can offer them your promo code. Each new partner gets a promo code where the client will get 30% off their first payment. So, and anyone listening who's not an agency owner, you can get 30% off your first payment using the MainWP promo code. And then we do have a bulk deal for our agency partners. So you can buy 15 licenses at $337 a year instead of whatever, 15 times $120 a year. So it's a massive amount of savings.
Don't make me do math.
I, I think it comes out to about $1,800 a year, something like
Yeah,
that.
that sounds about right.
Sounds about right. But
Yeah.
that's our hope, is that you can, if you do have an existing client base, you can send out our pre-written email sequence, educate them about policies. Hopefully you get a couple signups and turn around a profit, buying a 337 and reselling it at 1,800 a year. So hopefully that generates some revenue while educating clients. And I always say, like, even for the clients that are like, "Nah, I don't want this stuff." You know what? At least you got documentation in place that you told your clients that, they need policies. They
Right.
declined it, but that's okay. They're the business owner. They get to make that decision. Where the
Right.
problem is that oftentimes we as agency owners feel like, "Oh, my client's too small. They don't need that." That's the mistake that I don't want agency owners to make. Like, I
Oh,
assure you, I've talked to one person companies dealing with a lawsuit right now. Like, it's just,
yeah.
let the
Yeah.
client make the decision.
I'm telling you, this conversation, I'm not gonna lie. I only really manage like 3 or 4 sites for people and their friends or friends of friends. And of course, everything was done in an informal way. And I'm thinking, you know what? These are their businesses. I really do need to talk to them about this stuff and make sure that we get them, on board with it.
You
So
know,
you're absolutely right. It's one of those things that, especially if you are a casual like developer like me, you're going to overlook that stuff, and you don't
100%.
want to get your friends in trouble. I mean, that's the thing.
Exactly,
So there's
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
It could get so nasty so quick, and it's for the record, we named Termageddon to be funny. We called this company Termageddon before even GDPR existed. We created this
That
company.
was your idea, wasn't it? The
Oh, yeah,
Termageddon
yeah,
name.
yeah.
That was you. Yeah, that was all
Donata
you.
was she gave me an instant approval. She's like, "No,
Good.
that's the name." She
Yeah,
loved it.
good. Yeah,
But and I'm sorry. I really don't mean to come off as fear mongering. I know that, like, in my seat, I can come off that way, and I apologize for anyone who's like, "Oh gosh, this guy's just pushing fear." It's just every time I have an agency owner calling me, telling me they're dealing with they have a client that's dealing with a lawsuit, I see myself. I feel like I'm talking to
yeah,
myself, because
yeah,
prior to marrying a privacy attorney, I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. So, like,
yeah,
I just feel like it's my job to, like, just get the message out
yeah,
to as many people as
yeah,
possible. And I
yeah,
don't mean to be. You don't have to use term again. I just recommend telling your clients it's their
mm,
responsibility to comply with laws,
yeah.
not yours. Just get
Yeah.
that message out. So
And I think that there's a difference between fear mongering and when you have actually witnessed it and seen it. You're not making crap up, right?
exactly.
You are actually talking about it because you have firsthand or at least secondhand visuals of these people being affected, people getting $60,000 demands and things like that. That's
Yes.
stuff you've seen. So it's not that you're trying to scare people as much as make them
I'm just trying to say
aware.
what I've
Yeah,
seen.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
You're not making stuff up here. So
and a year ago, it wasn't like this. So it was all about like, hey, this is best practice. Just do this. This is respecting people's privacy. Yes, you could get some fines and stuff. And there absolutely are business owners that get fined, small business owners that get fined. But yeah, this year it's changed, and it's specifically because of SIPA. In fact, if you want to go to our podcast, we interviewed a guy. I can look at the name real quick, but we interviewed someone who's defending these small business owners in LA County against these lawsuits. Watch episode 16 with Jason
okay,
Kelly. For
okay.
anyone who wants to learn more about it, not so much from me, but from an actual attorney talking about it, just to get that validation. So
Well, this will be going up on our YouTube channel, and so I'll
cool.
make sure to link that podcast, as well as I'm going to ask you a couple other questions.
Yeah.
One, where do we find Termageddon?
Yeah, so termageddon.com. So it's
Okay,
like term age Don, two D's and Don. So
okay,
Termageddon.com.
okay,
And if you are an agency owner, feel free to check out the agency partners page. During Black Friday and really just in general for the month of November, we will be giving away 2 free licenses instead of one. And
okay,
then all of our social media links are in the footer. But basically, our social media links are slash Termageddon.
okay.
Surprisingly, that name was available. So
Seems like someone would have taken it, but you guys, awesome.
somehow we nabbed it.
Yeah, somehow you nabbed it. So that's awesome. Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think this is such a clever idea, just putting this video interview together for Black Friday and a good excuse for us to kind of talk about our extension relationship. And I really appreciate giving us the ability to share what Termageddon is with your audience. So thank you so much for that,
That-
Mark.
That's awesome. And I just like to put it out there for anybody else who might have a WordPress plugin or something and they want to build an extension or work with us, partner with us to build an extension. We're happy to talk to you. Just let me know. I'll put contact details also down below, and you can go ahead and we have a form to fill out, and we'll talk about maybe some sort of potential extension partnership. So Hans, I really appreciate your time. I'm really excited about getting this out to air, and I guess have a happy holiday. And unless there's anything else you want to add, that'll do it.
No, that's it. Thank you so much, Mark. I
All
really
right.
do appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right.
And bye,
All right.
everyone.
Bye.